So today I'm going to be going over the details on should you be getting an a7c or a7 III, or should you go ahead and upgrade to the a7S III? And spoiler alert, I think most people could get away with the a7c. What's up, guys? If you're new here, my name is Paul and I run a channel that inspires other creators that your future is whatever you make it. I do that through gear reviews and tutorials, and I talk a lot about Sony cameras. So if you like that, hit that subscribe button, join the family. But today we're going over this wonderful a7c, and I've fallen in love with this camera. I am an original a7 III shooter, so I do know the biggest differences between those, and we're going to go over all that here in this video. So the a7c is a fantastic camera. It has great autofocus with eye in video. They just added an update where you can have animal eye in video, and they also have direct streaming out the USB-C port, and I've got videos on all that stuff, and you can check that out over here in this corner here. This also can shoot in 4K, 24 and 30 frames per second, and you got 1080p, 120 and 60 frames per second. And I mean, those are no slouch. They look great on this camera, and this downscaled 5K sensor to 4K or whatever it is, it looks so good, and it looks so sharp and crispy. And that's one of the things that you don't usually get with the camera like this, what I'm shooting on right now, the a7S III. And you know what? I mean, maybe I should just go ahead and switch over to this camera so you can see a lot of the benefits on it. But I will say it does have the flip out screen, so that is awesome, and it's one huge point for this camera, but I'll talk about it while I'm shooting on it right now. And now I'm on the a7c, and you can kind of see it looks very similar. I think this is a little bit more crispy just because of that downscaled sensor. This a7S III has a full 4K sensor, so it reads out at 4K, and that's what kind of helps it, you know, get that low light and all that stuff. But it looks fantastic and crispy, just not as nice and sharp as these. I think they both look great. The cool thing about these is their colors are very similar. They're both shot in no picture profile for this video, so you can kind of see what the true Sony colors are coming out of this. Obviously the S-Log3 in this thing is just going to demolish this, but like I said, this is why the a7c is a better all-around content creation camera, because you can just get a great shot right out of this camera, shoot no S-Log, no grading. This is a perfect studio camera, especially if you're not out in the field and doing a lot of that crazy stuff. And I think people overlook this a7c for this, this a7S III. They're like, oh, all the YouTubers are shooting on it. And as I do love this camera, it has a lot of features that are really, really used in my scenario. I love using all this slow motion in S&Q with the full bit rate and everything. But this camera is no slouch, and honestly, I think most people aren't even gonna be able to tell the difference when they're watching on their smartphones on YouTube. I remember calling up my buddy, Say Park, and I was asking him, should I get the a7S III or the a7c? Because I just, I don't know. I was on the fence on it, and he said, honestly, I don't think you're gonna be able to tell the biggest difference from the a7S III to the a7c. And what I do, I bought them both. I sold my a7 III and bought them both. At the end of the day, after using both, I could perfectly fine get away with this a7c. If I didn't do a lot of really professional real estate shoots and a lot of stuff where I might want to use this color grading in 10-bit, I don't know. I think this a7c can do everything, and right now it's using the same exact setup. So I have the K3M on top of this thing through the digital hot shoe, doing the same audio. The only thing is this one has a little bit higher bitrate audio. This has 24-bit, and it doesn't have that high with the a7c. But does it still sound good? I'm using the same exact setup, same exact settings. I mean, it's a beast. I think it's overlooked. The a7c is hands down what you could use as a content creator camera. The other positives of the a7c over something like this, the a7S III, is that you don't have to worry about file sizes. This thing, you start shooting in 10-bit and it destroys your computer. So not only do you gotta buy a more expensive camera, but in times, and some people might have to buy a more expensive computer just to be able to render those files. I don't have a slouch of a computer. I have a 2019 MacBook Pro, the i9 with a decked out graphics card, and the highest you can get for them. And it still slouches when you start editing 10-bit in slow motion. 24, it can kind of handle it, and at times, unless I stack too many clips, it's fine. But this thing just slows down like nobody's business when I'm starting to do any of the higher frame rate stuff. And it kind of stinks. It really does. You want to be able to have just the ease of knowing that you can just record, take that card out of your camera, flop it in your computer, have no problems editing it. This footage edits with a breeze. And another feature that people often look over is memory cards. This a7S III, if you want to shoot in all these high modes, you got to make sure to buy at least a V60 card, and if you want to shoot the higher frame rates, you need a V90 card, and those things are mad expensive. Dude, this a7c, I got a video about the best memory cards to use with it and what memory cards you should need. You should check it out, but you can use a SanDisk Extreme Pro with this thing all day long, and it's great, and those cards are cheap. You can stock up on a ton of them. Now, do you want to future-proof yourself? Okay, get a V60 card. You can still at least use them with these. But those are still a little bit more pricey than some of the other options. This camera can shoot in, it's really good. Should I sell my a7S III now and just go back to the a7c? I mean, does this look better than my a7S III content? Do I need to switch back? Oh man, this video is making me wonder now. Shoot, did I make the wrong choice spending all this money on this camera? Hey, does anybody want to buy an a7S III? It might be going up for sale on the market right now. I mean, what do I need this camera for? I got the a7c. It's a freaking monster and a beast. I didn't mean it. I really didn't mean it, baby. Please, don't do that. You treat me well, okay? You treat me very well. Most people who are shooting YouTube videos only use slow motion for like B-roll segments, or trying to get that person walking and looking all nice and crispy, and it's fine. Like, you can mix those in and with the lower quality of HD, and people won't be able to tell the difference. I guarantee it. The other positive to this camera right here is I feel like you can crop in on the image more. One, because it has a upscaled sensor or downsampled sensor, I should say, and it is a higher megapixel, so it's 24 megapixels. This is only 12. So I always feel like, ooh, I don't want to crop. I always can crop in a little bit on these 4K sensors, but I don't do it nearly as much as I would on this a7c, just because it has a higher megapixel sensor. I feel a little more confident. And the other thing I will say too, I love about this camera versus the a7S III is you can still use APS-C crop mode in all of your shooting modes. With this thing, you can only do it in 1080 because it's a 4K sensor. You can't crop in on it anymore. With that beast, you can record in 4K, and it pretty much turns every single one of your lenses into 2 lenses. Or you can get those zooms and get even more zoom out of those. Which also brings me to the fact that this camera is small and portable. This thing is not heavy, this thing is not super huge, but when you compare it to that a7c, you chop off this viewfinder here, and the weight of it makes it a little bit lighter. I did get a cage to make the grip a little bit better. I have a lot of the accessories videos that you can check out up here for the a7c. It's portable. This 35mm lens that's on it right now and this camera together is like a small portable beast. I really love that combo, the 35 1.8 and the a7c. It is a no slouch camera. Do not feel like you're limited. And people jump over this camera when they're like, oh, well, you should get either the a7S III, or you could still buy the a7 III. I would not buy the a7 III today unless you just absolutely need that viewfinder for photography. And honestly, when I'm shooting a lot of photography, even with this thing, the viewfinder is amazing, but I find myself just using the screen. It's so much easier at times, and you get down those low angles, get tilted. The flip out screen is amazing. Shooting those family stuff, you could flip it around, put it on a tripod, and go get a remote or something, and you go, But this a7c is no slouch when it comes to photography, because it's pretty much an a7 III in a smaller body with better colors and autofocus. People always miss that. Well, it's just an a7 III, so I might as well just get the viewfinder. No, it's not. It has better autofocus and better colors. And it now can stream out the USB-C port and charge your camera while you're streaming it. So it's just got way more of the newer features that Sony kind of cram-packed into this camera, and it is no slouch. If you are looking for your first content creator camera and you just have to have full frame, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, this is the camera that I'm suggesting still to this day, even with the a7 IV out. This thing is cheaper than the a7 IV. This is cheaper than the a7 III. This camera is still relevant today. It shoots great video, and it has a lot of great audio features that allow with that hot shoe. The possibilities with this camera are endless, just endless, and it makes a great B camera for my a7S III. My next video, I might have to compare the colors more in a big roundabout video. So if you want to see that video, comment down below. But the a7C is no slouch at all. No slouch. I love it. And honestly, it comes with me on my trips when I'm going to like the theme parks or something like that over this a7S III, unless I know I'm shooting a lot of night stuff. So you're trying to choose between, you're not going to spend the money on the a7S III. You're trying to choose between the a7 IV and the a7C. Do you need the extra megapixels? Probably not. I think 24 and 33, I mean, give and take a little bit more. Do you need that cropped 4K 60? No. It's a really, really great option. I can't keep stressing it enough. It's an overlooked camera, and for content creators, you just want to be able to press that record button, record as fast as you possibly can, get that eye autofocus perfect for all your videos, and you want to be able to have the quality. But seriously guys, this camera is an all-around YouTube content creation camera. If you're looking to get first into YouTube and you really want a full frame camera for your photography needs and your YouTube needs, look no further than the a7C, if you can find it, because they kind of stopped making it for a period of time to catch up with this chip shortage. But if you can find one, new or used, this is a great camera, and it still is in my arsenal today. My wife loves it because it's nice and portable. I love it because it's just an all-around Swiss Army knife, and it's not crazy expensive for a B camera to my a7S III. So pick it up. It's a great camera. I love it. I suggest it to everybody. If you don't want to spend this kind of money, there's other options like the ZV-E10 and the ZV-1. But if you're going full frame, get the a7C on a budget. Done. You're done. You can just stop this video. You know, if you like videos like this one, subscribe for more videos. And next time, you guys know that I will see you in the future. You know I never get rid of you. No. You know I'm gonna treat you right, okay? This a7C is not gonna get any more screen time over you. She's a little bit lighter. She weighs a little bit less, but we don't need to be talking about weight here, baby. You got the huffing. You got the huffing, the puffing. Oh, dang it. That's not gonna sound good. Please, no.